Welcome back, everyone, to a brand spoiler review of a TV show. Today, I'm breaking down season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. I'm going to break down my thoughts on the season, what the potential is now for season 4 after being renewed, and all that stuff. So let me know your thoughts on Only Murders in the Building season 3 in the comment section down below. Is this your favorite, least favorite season of the show? Do you think they should have ended it with season 3, or should they keep going on with Only Murders in the Building? Subscribe, also ring the bell for notifications. I do box office breakdown shows, movie rankings, and also these types of TV and movie reviews. So please subscribe, ring the bell, and also like the video, guys. The thumbs up button, that's how you support this channel. So this is the third season of Only Murders in the Building. And I do believe, to start with my overall thoughts, because I am going to give, well, there are spoiler thoughts. I'll really talk about kind of the twist and all that stuff. This will be full spoiler review. So if you've not seen Only Murders seasons even at all, 1 through 3, but especially 3, I am going to be talking about spoilers today. This show for me has declined since season 1. And I think season 1 got off to such a great start. It was so fresh. And the show has, in my opinion, really found a formula that makes the show quite predictable, because in all these seasons of Only Murders, it's kind of the penultimate episode has our our threesome here. Pick, basically, in their minds, they know who the killer is. And then there's another twist in the finale because it's the finale. Why would we know who the killer is in the penultimate episode? Need to find who really the killer is in the final episode. And then we end with a cliffhanger of someone else dying, setting up the next season. I do think that this show might need a little bit of a shakeup as it returns to structure of the show, and kind of now the predictability of, when the twist is going to happen, kind of the Only Murders formula. And for people, that's probably why they like the show. I do think the show is becoming a bit more predictable. And I think this is, for me, the weakest of the 3 seasons. Now, I still enjoyed this season of Only Murders. I just don't find it to be as memorable as seasons 1 and 2. Now, for a positive side, the addition of Meryl Streep was the best part of this season. She is fantastic in this season. Obviously, she gets into a bit of a romantic thing with Martin Short this season. And I really enjoyed this character who her whole life wanted to be on Broadway, and this was her first kind of big thing. She has an awkwardness to her. Her and Martin Short are very cute together in their scenes, but Meryl Streep, obviously, one of the best actors of all time, and one of the best actresses still living today. And there's a reason why that most of her performances get nominated, is because she's just an exceptional actress. She definitely adds that into the show. Not saying Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez aren't good actors, but this is a whole stratosphere of acting with Meryl Streep, and she really does a good job. It's really an unselfish thing for her to do a show like this, because she's usually doing very serious movies, award-driven movies. And yes, Only Murders does get nominated for its first 2 seasons of the show, but it's a fun show. And Meryl Streep clearly had, at least based on what I saw, had clearly tons of fun making the show. And I'm just so happy the show got her. Now, on the other side, I am a huge Paul Rudd fan, and I kind of just felt like they wasted Paul Rudd in the season. And I think the writing wasn't really good. Now, again, Paul Rudd does die. That's kind of the mystery of who killed Ben Glenroy. But still, I felt like Paul Rudd wasn't really funny in the show. And he's one of the funniest actors working today. Sometimes you just need to look at him and he gives an expression and you kind of think it's funny. Now, his stuff got funnier, I think, as the season went on. But he's just not a memorable character for me, especially not a memorable death. That I think it's the least interesting investigation, because the first season had that really good tie-in with the Arconia, and also the person who died in the first season had a really good connection with Selena Gomez's character. But then you have season 2, which is this podcast about the Tina Fey stuff, and that was also kind of interesting. This I felt more personal to the 3 of them. I don't think it really worked, and I think they really wasted Paul Rudd, as well as Ashley Park, who's a terrific actress. She was on Beef, did also have a lot to do this season. And I think the biggest misfire of the show is they basically split up the trio through the whole season until literally the last 2 episodes of the season. And you could tell that the show only works when the three of them are working together. Mabel with Jesse Williams' character, Tobert, wasn't that interesting. I think the only thing, and they all might have had interesting subplots, but the show just doesn't have as much energy, spark, originality to it when they're not together. Because I really enjoyed the last two episodes, and the biggest reason why is that the three of them are together. That's why we're watching the show, is to watch Steve Martin and Martin Short go off each other, and Selena Gomez be the middle person of these two people. It's entertaining watching the three of them, especially Short and Martin, who of course have just natural chemistry. And I do want to give props to Selena Gomez. She's also, as a performance, has gotten better by the seasons. She's really fit in the show perfectly, I think, with Martin Short and Steve Martin. And she's an actress that does not get credit for the show because she has not been nominated in the first two seasons of the series, while Steve Martin and Martin Short have. And while, yes, I've talked to people who say that anyone can kind of play this Mabel role, I really enjoy Selena Gomez and her, I believe, natural chemistry with Steve Martin and Martin Short. And she is one of the more underrated aspects of the show, is her performance. No one really thinks of her as this really good actress, but I think she really delivers in this show, and especially this season. But again, separating our trio, I think, was a major mistake. And the show finally felt like true Only Murders in the Building when we got to the final two episodes. And on like a 10-episode show, that is too long to wait for the show to find its footing. And that's why it's such a mixed bag for me, because our trio are very watchable when they're not together, but it's extremely entertaining and fun when they are together and solving a murder mystery. Now, we said that the producer was the killer in the penultimate, and right away I said she can't be the killer. My bet was Tobert the whole time, but that's my theory for season 4. Tobert could be the killer for season 4, but we learned it's the producer's son who's the one who shoved Ben Glenroy. The music also, which was done by Pasek and Paul, did La La Land and Greatest Showman. They did the theater music, and the songs were terrific. It was very funny seeing some of these outfits and see Steve Martin. That song is still in my head. I really enjoyed that song, and Martin Short getting to sing. That was a lot of fun. Of course, Meryl Streep is a fantastic singer, so hearing her sing is great. So we end the season with basically, Jane Lynch, who was, the stunt double for Charles back in the day. And she comes back and she's like, Charles was going to go get the wine from his room, but actually Jane Lynch is the character, and she got shot. And the question is now, who killed her? Because obviously they're trying to kill Charles, not Jane Lynch's character. I do think this is Tobert, in my opinion. I know Season 4 was already renewed. Like, I watched this episode, I went on Twitter, and Hulu already announced that it got renewed. So they're going to make another one. And I assume, obviously, based on the strikes, they could really get this done. They usually new seasons, if I'm not mistaken, come out like every year for the show. So we could have another season of the show as early as next year, I would assume, for Only Murders in the Building. But I think it's Tobert, because Tobert's the one who invited Mabel to come with him to LA for this indie film. And Mabel said no. And I feel like Tobert might be really aggressive on the fact that she wants her life to be with these two guys, old guys. That could be a dark horse. I think Tobert was kind of a wasted character. Now, Jesse Williams, very good looking guy, really fit his character perfectly for the show. He's not a terrific actor, and they really didn't use him in the following last 3 or 4 episodes. I don't know if that was scheduling, his acting, I have no idea. But if there's nothing really to do with him moving forward, it just seems like a wasted character that they threw into mix of just another bad love interest for Mabel. But I like where we left off. If they can get Meryl Streep back, they absolutely need, I think, Meryl Streep back, especially with this romance with Martin Short, which I'm really enjoying. So I enjoy the show. I don't love the season. I think we're kind of far away from, I think, the greatness of season 1. And I think the best way to bring everything back is to keep the trio on the same page for an entire season. I think they went for a big leap by having them separate for a lot of the season. But I think you need the 3 of them on the same page, cracking jokes continuously throughout the next season. And I think they're going to have to start wrapping the show up, because it's going to a bit too ridiculous that all these murders just keep happening in the Arconia, and the 3 of them are the investigators. I think the show doesn't have a lot of seasons, I think, left in it, because then it gets a bit too cartoonish that they're always the ones who find dead people. And I know that's kind of like the in joke with the show, but I think if we get to season 5 or 6, it could be a bit ridiculous. So it'll be interesting to see if they start to wrap up the show anytime soon. But that's my thoughts on season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. What are your thoughts on the show? Did you like the show? Do you disagree with me? Is this your favorite season? What are your predictions for season 4? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys soon.